organizations who are trying to get the product from us. You just need to have like a pilot segment of stakeholders who would be willing to just start with these actions right away on day one without
Right.
setting up any wallet or having any of those friction areas up front.
Welcome to Clicks and Bricks Podcast. We talk about the entrepreneur mindset.
If you get one shot at this, what kind of shot are you going to take?
If we forget who we are, they're going to forget who you are.
And you've got an adversity story that's out of this world.
Everything from that Main Street brick and mortar to that billion-dollar manufacturer.
Jasveen, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm super excited to learn about your project and what you're currently working on. But before we get into your current project, can you tell the audience a little bit about yourself and your history that led you up to today?
Okay, all right. I'm super excited as well to join. I think you and the audiences. It's a great, opportunity for me to talk about what we're building, and also a huge gratitude, to Clicks and Bricks for having me here. I am an engineering graduate. I started as an electronics engineer. I started as, a software developer. And then I play different roles in different organizations. I have around 15 years of corporate experience and primarily around software management, software product management. And I have experience across different verticals such as finance, supply chain, automotive, and very recent about the whole ecosystem on how to build marketplaces and so on. So I think while I would say the journey or the introduction to the whole aspect about how the climate is, how the events that are happening. So we were traveling. My hometown is New Delhi in India, and although right now I'm based out of Dallas. So we were traveling to basically catch a train, and in the middle of just the cab ride, my husband really had a very, very bad asthmatic attack, and we were at that moment in time we were not carrying the SOS inhaler that he's supposed to carry usually, which means that this was like 6 in the morning. There were no pharmacies open at that time, so we really struggled. And this is something that has never happened in my hometown. And I think thankfully we were able to get help and everything was fine. But I reflected, why that had happened, what has led to him getting that asthmatic attack, although he's fine in other parts of the areas that we have lived and traveled. And I realized New Delhi experienced in the years, if you look back over the years, there has been a lot of growth. The growth has come with a lot of air pollution, with a lot of change to the, how the landscape of New Delhi looked like. They had to let go of a lot of trees. The natural ecosystem of the whole area was basically given away, unfortunately, to basically lead to growth, right? And so that was, I would say, my first encounter to climate change. The second encounter to climate change, we were also living in Bangalore, which is called the Silicon Valley of India. And the place that we were living in, it's basically one of the very good areas to live in. But the situation around Bangalore during summer seasons um, is is not really good in terms of getting access to the water and so on. And the water usually is rationed. It comes in these. Imagine there are these trucks carrying water in them, and then they come and basically dump the water to the water facility that we have. So there is no access to the water, which means there are these water meters that have been installed in the houses, and which means you the access to basic resources, right? We could realize that how it has changed over the years, and that is because of different events that have happened, and a large and scientists in Bangalore, the community in Bangalore, basically accounts the same to the growth that has happened, the forest cover that has gone, the heat that is building up, and the depletion of groundwater resources and so on, and so many effects, right? So that was my second, I would say, experiencing the effects of climate change up and close. And then the third, I would say, reality check was we were working with one of the largest OEM&A in the US, where I was basically leading the pilot for introducing circular economy parts. I also, at the same time, I also happened to research a book for one of the famous publishers, Macmillan, which was again around climate change. And I really experienced, and what I could find based on our research, how individuals, how consumers, households have been left literally in the middle with no help, no solutions available, no incentives available, or even access or the knowledge about these incentives available to how do we prepare your life when things like this are coming, when there are heat events, there is sudden flooding that is happening, there is suddenly an outage that is in your area, you're out of power for 2 to 3 days. There is in California that they have now earmarked areas which are called as high risk area because of the fires that have just happened in the last few years, right? So I realized there are literally no solutions available, which enable people to do something about it. And that was the reason for me to start Clime DAO. I I left a very, very comfortable economic job that was paying my bill, and I was just relaxing and having a good time of my life to start my company, which is Clime DAO. And the mission that we are going after is how do you enable grassroots action towards getting prepared for the life that's going to come in the few years. How do you build sustainability in your DNA, just so that everything that you're doing, you at least are giving a thought to your purchase decisions, to how you're living your life, the kind of choices that you're making. So that's I think the whole thought about why we started Climb DAO, why I started Climb DAO, and what we're trying to do.
Wonderful. Okay, and it's climate. So
Climb DAO. Yes,
and
Climb DAO.
so it's a DAO for climate change. Can
Yes.
I think the whole audience understands what climate change is, and I don't think you're making any statement on what's causing climate change on the political agenda, although if we can reduce our carbon footprint, it's good.
Yeah.
Can you explain to the audience what a DAO is?
Yeah. So a DAO basically stands for decentralized autonomous organization, right? How do you enable a system wherein the incentives for doing something are fairly and transparently distributed? For instance, if you are, a sales manager in a company, you're supposed to bring in tons of revenue. And if you look at the incentives available for doing that action, if you just think for a moment, the kind of organization structures that exist currently in traditional companies, how fair is that, right? What kind of voice do you have to make such certain decisions, which if eventually benefit the organization? What kind of behavioral patterns are you exhibiting to make those or influence those decisions? What kind of autonomy do you have over those decisions? So it's an emerging concept in Web3. So we enable the decision making about things that are good for the community to be very, very transparent. And so which means technology is enabling you to take actions, decisions, vote for things which are good for the community, and you also get properly or fairly incentivized for your contribution, right? It's not that you're not getting peanuts for but you're bringing in and doing so much work with respect to growing the community. So the incentives are fairly distributed to people who are trying to do really good, and this is all enabled by technology. We call it smart contracts. basically the rules of governance are embedded into the code. And for instance, a simple example could be there are a list of proposals that are out, they're listed in the community portal, and then there are votings that is happening. Now, the way the votings happen is is again done in a manner wherein there are no biases. So basically, you cut out the bias. The decision making that happens is completely done on a fair ground, and then the whole thing is basically enabled by a DAO. So that is what we mean by DAO. I know we are in the very early days of DAO. We will certainly have um, I would not say that we will have um, lashback from the existing structures as such, but I would rather see it like a complementary approach, right? I mean, at least my personal views, the way I see the DAO is, how do you, so because something that is existing from years, I don't think it can just disrupt, these emerging concepts can disrupt, but how do you complement the existing structure such that the right behaviors are incentivized for the larger community. So we see them coexist with the existing structures, but really enhance the mission of the organization. So that's what we are trying to do. So Clime DAO basically, uh, our the point that we make is we are a carbon bank as a service, which means we give this as a SaaS software, um, and you take the platform from Clime DAO, uh, and you basically enable it for your stakeholders. Now, your stakeholders could be, your employees, your customers, your community members. Cities can use a platform as government organizations. And you give this platform to your stakeholders. The stakeholders use our platform, take the curated action journeys that we have outlined for them, and then once we verify that the climate actions are happening, we issue you a digital token from Climb DAO. Now, this token that you get is basically an entry for you to participate in the DAO. So we have a token gated DAO. It's basically like a club. So for you to enter the club, you need a ticket, and the ticket is given to you by Climb DAO, and which means once you enter the club, imagine you are so the same platform is being used by multiple companies, right? So all the stakeholders are also uh, present in the ecosystem of the DAO. And now, but we are selective about how our DAO will operate. That's why we have kept it as a token gated DAO, which means you have demonstrated that you want to sustainability is in your DNA. You are thinking about climate action. You have done climate action, and that's how you basically come into the club. You work towards enforcing and making the and prioritizing the impact that we are trying to make on the emissions. So work on the larger good for the community. So that's how it's offering is basically positioned.
Okay. So just to break it down, try to simplify in just a couple of sentences. Basically, it's like you have a publicly traded company, but it's not traded on the stock market. You get shares by being a good climate contributor or a contributor to climate change. You get tokens, and then theoretically, the most climate responsible person or group has the most amount of votes.
Yes. So, yeah, I think just to simplify this, how we would explain this. So there are two aspects, I would say, from our offering. One is the whole emission management of your stakeholders, right? To be able to take climate action, demonstrate that you have done there is a climate emission reduction that has happened to your carbon footprint. And then the second piece that comes in is the whole mechanics of token marketplace. So even the tokens that you earn, it also gives you an ability to basically trade your carbon credits that you have generated via token, right? So in addition to getting an entry to the DAO, we also facilitate a token marketplace. And then what essentially would happen is, as a stakeholder, you get access to the platform by your organization. You come on board, you perform certain actions, we vet those actions, you get a token. That token allows you to get entry to DAO. It also allows you to basically, sell it and sell it as a carbon credit, and which means there is also a monetization opportunity for you at the end. So it's like, a pat on your back saying, hey, you are not alone in this, or the efforts that you're putting in with respect to the whole climate action journey that you're on. We really respect, and we it's like a reward that you have on it from our side.
Wonderful. That's really, really cool. Now, I know a little bit about blockchain. I'm not an expert by far, because I think to be an expert in blockchain, it takes like 100 people to be a true expert in that particular set, because it's so much stuff moving so quickly.
Yeah.
But is there the risk? I mean, we know we love decentralized, right? Decentralization is a beautiful thing if it can be executed properly.
Mhm.
Is there a risk in CLIM DAO that somebody could get 51% of the votes, and then it's no longer decentralized, right? It belongs to really that one person. You put measures in the DAO that make sure that nobody can have more than 51%, or is that just hey, the winners can take all in this game?
I think so. We have so our I would say the Clime DAO. So for us, the reason why we adopted blockchain, not that because I come from the blockchain background and I have implemented application. I think the reason why we chose blockchain was for primarily, I would say primarily two reasons. The number one reason is, for us to be able to issue a token, we want to make sure that there is a provenance trail that exists. You exactly know why the token was created, whether the reduction has actually happened or not. So I think just to give fairness to how things actually work in the voluntary carbon market, we are trying to ensure that there is a good provenance trail that exists, that is transparent, that can be verified by anyone, right? And that too at the click of a button. Which means if you happen to visit our token marketplace and you say that, hey, if I want to buy this token, let me see how it was originated, at on what basis did we issue a token, how do you say that yes, this is for 1 carbon ton reduction or 2 carbon ton reduction. You have a way to basically view that, and that to
Right.
instantaneously, not that you have to wait for certain days. The second reason we chose blockchain was the whole concept of marketplace. How do you ensure that the verification itself, we use blockchain, and the question that you asked with respect to whether it's 50%, it's basically called a Sybil attack. How do you ensure, so anything before we have a consensus, before the records are registered on the ledger, we use proof of stake, which is different from, I would not say it's different, uh, since it is emerging, it is new. People have tried to gamify it, or take advantage of the weak points, if you will. But what we are trying from our best is, how do you make sure that any verification that we do for our tokens is done not just looking at what has been in consensus and using proof of stake. We also employ a AIML algorithm, which basically is vetting so we have a proprietary algorithm which uses POS and also AIML in combination to then ensure that our verification, which is like the core novelty that we bring, because in the category that we are going to exist, we will exist in the personal carbon credit marketplace, and which means we want to make sure that the verification is rock solid. So that is, I would say, the second most reason for us to adopt blockchain. And third, of course, just like our Web2 marketplaces are, how do you ensure they are fair and square? And that also becomes like for the reason for us to have our marketplace uh, based on Web3 and not on the traditional way of launching marketplaces.
Right. But you've taken the approach that your product is a blockchain product,
Yes.
but your company structure is also a blockchain structure, right? So correct me if I'm wrong. Like if you have a DAO, like stuff like the president, the CEO, and all that stuff is up for vote all the time, correct?
Yeah, so we are. I think I would say we are when we are implementing it. We are when we think about how our structure should look like, and that's a very good question. Um, and given that how do we coexist with the current way of how the companies are structured? The way and the so the kind of discussions we have had with our lawyers, with our investors, and also with how the jurisdictions are set up in case there are, because the eventual motive that that I have when I started building Clime DAO is how do you enable carbon action at in a very very simplified way, right? When you when But we are not taking the holy grail or the full on approach of having the organization structure as well in the form of DAO. The way we are implementing DAO, our company structure exists in the traditional way, although the DAO structure is more implemented towards the community that we are building.
Okay.
I would say, we are taking step by step. So there are some aspects of Web3 which are completely Web3, like we use the way we are implementing a marketplace, the way POS is implemented, and so on. But with respect to DAO, we are taking a step by step approach because in just the last 6 months, there has been so much going on in how the DAOs came in and how DAOs went out, and the way people have tried to, unfortunately, misuse or just because I think one of the aspects that we have seen in some of the recent projects are people are just trying to make a quick buck, wherein how do I really gain a lot of profit with least amount of investments, and then let me just get involved in this project, get tokens or other ways, and then make a quick buck. What I think we are looking at those projects. We are also looking at projects which have been really successful in managing how the DAO works. So I would say our DAO is not 100% Web3. We are still, I would say, Web 2.5 in terms of how a DAO will operate. In fact, even launching the DAO, we are not going to launch it on day one of our product launch. Our product development approach is also because remember, it's a token gated DAO. You have to earn a token to then get entry to a DAO. So I would say our DAO will come in with respect to very specific problems that we are trying to solve. For instance, look at the problem of wastage, food wastage, right? Can we channelize our DAO to really find out a solution, create a campaign, have the community members lead the campaign, which will in a way bring some sort of impact, have some outcome to the larger problem that we are solving. So I think when I look at DAO, I'm specifically looking at DAO to solve some of the problems that we are facing, which are difficult to solve. It needs community engagement, and that's how we are using the DAO for. So I think we are in the very early stages of creation of Clime DAO. But what we are doing is our platform exists on day one, but our DAO will take some time to evolve and really find its
Right.
place, because I think we don't want to eat the elephant like on the first day, right? I think we are trying to take it in a step by step approach. We really want to understand the user because uh, uh, I mean, I think unfortunately, climate action might not be the first thing that you think of, right? I think in the current state
Right.
of things, there are effects of climate events and so on. So I think we are in the days to really learn from our users, our early adopters, to see how do we, because we are trying to build a behavior, we are trying to build a habit. It's more of, behavioral change that we are trying to bring in. So I think we want to first make sure that we get that right. Once we know that we have got a product market fit, from those learnings we will then use the learning to really develop the DAO. So that's how we will basically go about it.
Wonderful. I love it. It's a big problem. You're engaging, but you're letting the whole world participate.
Yes.
If they will they be able to purchase the tokens, or do they have to make actions to get the tokens?
Yes. So they will have to. So it's a work token, basically. They cannot purchase tokens upfront. So they have to demonstrate that there is a certain action that has happened, and once you take the action, then the token is issued to you.
And what are some examples of those actions that someone could take or a company could take to get a token?
Yeah. So I think so. What we have done, we call it iterative climate action journeys. That's how we call it. And organizations, what they will do is when they take our platform, they can curate these action journeys. For some of the examples that I can share with you is we have around three prominent action journeys under the category energy. We have four categories under which climate action journeys can exist: mobility, energy, nature, and food. We are launching with two categories, energy and mobility. Under energy, we have action journeys such as lighting. What kind of lighting do you have in your house? Have you do you have LED bulbs? Have you switched from T12 to T8 lights? And why should you do that? What kind of dollar savings do you get? What kind of tokens you will be eligible to, right? So that's one example. Second example is, and these actions are not very difficult to take, right? We don't
Right.
want to really give a very difficult action just at the beginning. So like I said, we are trying to learn from the user to really go from 0 to 1. Right now we start with 0, which are taking these small actions, and you somehow doing these actions, we believe you build sustainability in your habit. Another example of a action journey that I can give you is mobility. What kind of car do you drive? Have you switched from, say, the petrol or diesel to any hybrid to the electric? What kind of energy are you using? And then with these actions, we are also trying to encourage the users to move to eco driving, and why you should do it. We also show stats with respect to, if you do X, you do you save these many dollars. So I think we are trying to give incentives which basically translate easy to medium actions to certain gains that they will be able to see upfront. So because user gratification is, I would say, is extremely important these days. So I think we are trying to build these different elements of how do you gratify the user just at the beginning. How do you give them actions which are not that difficult to take, and then slowly move the needle up.
All right. And you're launching sometime August, September of 2022?
Yes, so we launch on August 12th. So our demo will be
Okay.
available for the organizations to basically look at the demo and be our early adopters. We also have our pricing, since we are looking at the initial adopters. We will have flexible pricing with respect to, say, per stakeholder basis, or since it is SaaS, our pricing is completely tiered and it is flexible based on your approach. We are also looking at having some grandfathered options given to the organizations. Like for instance, if you are an early adopter, you basically participate in our advisory council, really experience how blockchain looks like, right? I mean, I think when I was with Bosch and we were building the applications, and when we used to do the sales call with the potential customers and so on, uh, it is difficult for the traditional organizations to really step into Web3 because of the weight that they are carrying for their existing applications, the existing IT landscape that they have, or the legacy applications that they have, right? So we see our offering as just a platform where you have to do zero investments from day one. You pay as you go, which means, once you see that you are getting traction, you are seeing some tangible results with respect to your sustainability goal, you then continue to increase our usage of our platform. So that's the approach that we will be taking with respect to how we have our early adopters come in.
Wonderful. I love it. It's a really cool approach to a really big problem. And if I can kind of understand it, you've created a decentralized organization to manage this token system, but this token system is an individual, household, or a business probably would buy into the system, and they would have energy efficiency tips and tricks, or journeys is what you're calling
Yes.
them, on ways that if they implement these things, they not only they save money in their business, they lower their carbon footprint, and they get one of your CLIM DAO tokens
Yes.
that they can theoretically over the years will continue to gain in value.
Yes, yes, that's true. So we are also, partnering with from the early days of our product, right? When we launched, what we are really focusing on is creating the supply side of the token, which means partnering with offering this as a product to our organizations, who will basically then offer it to their employees, to their customers, to their community members, say city. We are talking to one of the recent potential city who wants to adopt a product for their residents. So I think uh, I would say we will, in the days to come, we will find our niche, understanding where exactly this is like a top burning issue for which organization, and which types of organizations will be who are really sustainability forward and would want to gain from this. And I think, I think you're right in saying that it's a big problem. It's difficult to put a solution which is easier to onboard, easier to get your foot into the door of Web3. And the way we have tried to conceptualize the product offering again, you don't need a wallet from day one, right? You don't need to have, you don't need to spend even a penny to, from, because I think entering or having a Web3 product comes with some of the friction areas, and we have really dumbed down those parts.
Yeah.
Organizations who are trying to get the product from us, you just need to have like a pilot segment of stakeholders who would be willing to just start with these actions right away on day one, without
Right.
setting up any wallet or having any of those friction areas up front.
So the user interface right out of the gate is a Web 2.0 interface
Yes.
that you can implement wallet technology with
Yes.
to,
So
to hold the tokens and all that.
yeah.
like
So
it.
I think you start with Web 2, the user journey starts with Web 2, right? It doesn't start directly with Web 3.
Right.
You start with Web 2, and then we take you on a journey that slowly leads you into Web 3. And that's where the game of the whole, marketplace and then DAO comes in. Because when we were doing the user interviews, when we were trying to research about the product, what we realized, is that unless you are crypto native, unless you come and understand this, it's difficult for any general audience to just adopt a Web3 product. So, and climate action is, we didn't just want to have this available to crypto native audience. It's a need of the hour for everyone, for you, for me, for our neighbors, for our friends to take
Children.
action, right? So how do you just reduce or just eliminate the barriers to, and then we don't want technology to be a barrier for your action. We want it to be an enabler. So that's what we have tried to do with how we have crafted the product offering.
Wonderful. I like it a lot, and you're not wrong there. I'm a crypto native. I took some years off between 17 and 20, and the wallet tech is challenging to understand. All the different blockchains and the different networks it's a lot. So
Yeah.
if you stay in one lane, you're okay, but you can get off into the weeds pretty quickly. Are you creating your own blockchain for this, or are you jumping on an existing tier 1 blockchain?
So we use Polygon for this. We
Okay,
are
awesome.
using Polygon, again with the existing knowledge that we have of Polygon, that it is extremely carbon efficient, which means if you use other chains, there are other blockchain frameworks as well that we could have used, but every I think with no critical remarks for any other blockchain frameworks that exist, but we
Right.
felt Polygon is the fit for us because of its the ability to process transactions faster, and also for it being carbon efficient.
And a very low gas fee.
Yes,
So
yes,
I'm a fan of I'm a fan of Polygon. So
yeah,
absolutely wonderful, Jasveen. Thank you so much. I think it's a giant problem that you're tackling, and I love the approach of using the DAO to do it, and getting, because no one person can fix this problem, right?
yes,
So you're engaging the planet to help you fix the planet, and I think that's remarkable. It's a big hurdle, and congratulations for jumping on it. Congratulations for getting this close to your launch date. I'm super excited to see the product, and
sure.
I might even jump in there. I just did a pretty big solar project, and I've converted about 100,000 square feet of our office space into LED already. So
Oh wow, okay.
yeah, so it's definitely something that needs to be done and talked about, and people are talking
Yes.
about Web 3.0, so might as well throw the climate right in there with it, right? And help this move along. So, do you have anything that you would like to leave the audience with? How would somebody get involved with Clime DAO? How do they research
Mhm,
more about it and learn more?
mhm. Yeah, so I think our demo for the product launches on 12th August. Our website is www.climedao.com.
Awesome.
We also have social media presence across Twitter, LinkedIn, and Facebook. So reach out to us with respect to just getting a demo, right? It doesn't
Yeah,
cost you. You don't have to pay anything. You don't even have to pay. Your stakeholders doesn't even have to pay a penny to just try the platform. So I
awesome.
think the cost of adopting the product is extremely low. You will do good for the planet as an organization if you adopt a planet. Be an early adopter, be part of our advisory council, be on the right side of the history. Uh, on August 12th, the the kind of our gate lines open, and then reach out to us. We will basically provide a custom demo to you. We also have a self-service demo wherein you can just experience it in our sandbox. And we would love sustainability forward organizations to be part of our journey, because you are the ones who can enable the climate action for your stakeholders at the ground level, and really carbon proof them for the future life.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Jasmine. I
Yeah,
appreciate it. Thank you for your time today. And,
yeah.
and anything you would like to leave the audience with before we go?
No, let's climb out of our way for global warming.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Hope
Yeah,
you have a
okay.
great day. Bye
Yeah,
bye.
bye.
That's it for today's show, folks. If you'd like to join my text line community, the number is 314-370-2871. All you have to do to join that text line is send me any question about business or technology. I'll do all the research, and I'll give you an absolutely free, totally unbiased answer. Get to work.